the way it was explained to the Tunsil camp is that it was in their best interest, and they thought his best interest to part ways at this time. It was a situation where if they have some big things coming down the pike financially, they'll make Derek Stingley the highest paid corner, I believe, this offseason. And then a year from now, Will Anderson Jr. and CJ Stroud will become eligible for new contracts. So they weaken the left tackle spot, but they will try to bolster it some other way. That plan, unclear right now. There's not a lot out there that's outstanding. Maybe they can trade for somebody, but I think it's tough. They do have Titus Howard and Blake Fisher, who have some left tackle experience on the roster currently. But, yeah, it's a big move, and it leaves C.J. Stroud's blind side a bit vulnerable at the moment, but they don't play a game until September. They've got time to address this position. But, yeah, definitely surprised and disappointed some teammates. And, I know that Tunsil was not happy to be traded, wanted to stay, but business is business, and they move on.
Well, he's certainly in a good situation, you would think, and he went from a situation in Miami to a better one here. Now he goes from Houston to a better one, or at least as comparable a one there. But I'm curious, as you laid out some of these future financial considerations, all of which I'm sure we've talked about many times. Stingley's deal gets done this offseason, the other deals you mentioned in the future. So the impact of those deals wouldn't really have a huge play on this year's current cap situation. But considering Laramy's deal that he's playing under right now, is there some thought, some sense to be made that trading him currently this offseason to get something that they got in return, the 3 draft picks that aren't the pick swap for the 4th, in order to do that, in order to get that haul, they needed to trade him with time on his contract, not just 1 year,
right,
where it'd be attached with, well, we don't want that player unless he's going to sign with us long term, and even so, we're not going to give you as much. Did they make this deal today to get more haul?
Yeah. Yes, and the fact is that as he gets a year older, he has had, some knee issues in the past. It gets tougher to trade him and get this kind of haul. So it's the best deal they can make today. And a year from now, no, there's no first-round draft pick coming for a player that's going to be 32, not this year, but next year. So in August, he'll celebrate his 31st birthday. It doesn't mean that there's an expiration date, that he still doesn't have a lot of good football left in him. But I think they balanced the opportunity to have draft pick compensation, and they simply want to overhaul the line after a rough year for the offensive line in general. And I know he only allowed 2.5 sacks. We did have a lot of penalties. He's a part of this offensive line, and I think they're going to look to overhaul in terms of leadership, everything. So it's not just him. Shaq Mason got the axe the other day. They'll get $9 million. It's not just money. It's not just performance. It's a matter of all of it put together that leads to a move like this. But, yeah, it's definitely a franchise-shifting move to have Laremy Tunsil no longer protecting C.J. Stroud. But, all things come to an end, and it did today for Laremy Tunsil. I can say this. He was very popular in the locker room. It wasn't like, players didn't like him or coaches. He had no issues. He wasn't some kind of locker room lawyer. There have been a few things out there on social media from people I don't think know much about the team or are close to the situation. But yeah, that's okay. That's what happens. People want to – it's never just one thing, right, when you do a deal like this. It's many things. And they move on. But they did okay on the trade compensation. It just depends, Does he play to an all-pro level with the Commanders? If he does, trade doesn't look as good. It really – to be continued on this one.
We're talking to Aaron Wilson here on Sports Talk 790 about the Laremy Tunsil trade. And, yeah, I think, what you just got done saying, I was hypothetically wondering aloud if that had anything to do with this deal. But also I was wondering, and you might not know the answer to this question, but I think it's a very important one. This is the left tackle. This is the blindside protector for C.J. Stroud. Do you think C.J. Stroud was consulted about this deal, or do you think he was at least made aware that this was going to happen before it hit the public?
I would doubt that they would do that. I know that might not please everyone, but I don't think that they don't double check with him. It's not that type of situation. They don't even do it in Kansas City with Patrick Mahomes, and they definitely didn't do that with Tom Brady in New England, where they double check with the player. Hey, just wanted you to know. I think it was they found out, I guess, about the trade in terms of the Tunsil camp. This was about 5 to 10 minutes before the announcement. They were actually contacted by the Commanders, then by the Texans. So it was kind of a bang, bang. I got a call a little bit before, and I needed to get someone direct to be able to report. I did, to get it in a timely manner. But, yeah, it happened fast, came together. And I would say Adam Peters and Nick Caserio, who are former roommates when both were New England Patriots scouts, good friends, and they did a good job of keeping this under wraps until it was done. So it wasn't leaking out that they were working on the trade. It was done by that point. It was just a matter of finding out what's the draft pick compensation. But yeah, it was a deal done between two friends, longtime friends that used to play pickup basketball in Foxborough together. But yeah, they did some business today.
Considering what they have, and you brought up, their tackles, do you believe that the two tackles they have are likely to be starting next year with, say, Blake Fisher at right tackle and Titus Howard at left?
I think that's a strong possibility. Necessarily to go out there, no rookies necessarily going to supplant those guys. I think that unless you can get involved with a left tackle from another team or someone that, is comparable, maybe not Pro Bowl, but a solid starter. And this wasn't a great tackle market for free agency. It's a pretty good guard market. And I expect them to dip into that at some point, but I think it's a strong possibility that these are the guys. But, we're still in March, a long time between now and September. But as it stands right now, yeah, I would line up with those guys. You just got to pick who's the right tackle, who's the left tackle. Howard's got a lot of experience at left tackle, played it before. That's what Fisher, I think, was supposed to do, but wound up at right tackle. And I could see them adding to the position. I think there's going to be at least another tackle coming to the roster, to answer your question.
Very interesting to watch. The day they drafted Blake Fisher last year, Friday night, day 2 of the draft, I said he was drafted to be a starter in 2026. Did not envision it would play out the way it has, but it looks like they very well may have him as a starter there. Keep following Aaron Wilson right here on Sports Talk 790 over there at KPRC Channel 2, and, of course, at Aaron Wilson_NFL. More moves coming, both here and league-wide. Aaron, we always appreciate the insight and your time and patience today.
Thanks, guys. Great talking to you.
Thank you.